Bro, they're acting in live television or like
they're
live
throwing themselves off the ring into a lot of really unsafe stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's like if stuntmen became the protagonist every single episode.
like OSHA would never let them see the light of day if they were around any of that.
Y'all already know what it is. It's just a regular podcast.
Yeah, round of applause. Round of applause for that man,
Shut up, that was fire.
Pays the bills.
Before we get into all that, y'all already know who it is. It's AOC. Jesus Christ, that was nice, man. AOC Laughing Loud Lee. And today we got a very, 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 very special guest. To the left of me, the right of y'all, we got
Luis.
And before we get into anything else, to the right of me, the left of y'all, we got
Hey, yo, NF de este lado y entregado como siempre, mi gente. Today, I am so happy
Me too.
to have you here, bro. That you playing that guitar just made me so happy. It's like overboard happy.
It was it was definitely magical.
Tidy, baby.
And before we say anything that could get us in trouble, copyright and all that, we got
lawyer.
I messed that up. Behind the curtain, let me restart. Behind the curtain, we got the
lawyer.
And any wild-ish like those riffs, we'll get a
whoa.
Let's set it off. Oh my god,
bro! I don't want to sit here and like keep praising you, bro.
Yeah.
But that is my dream skills currently on the guitar. Like that to me, bro. You play so fluent, bro. So like smooth. It's swift the way you play, and the way your left hand is like the way you manipulate your left hand, bro. I don't know. Maybe because you've been doing this so long, you find that to be common or normal to you. To me, that's like, yo, this guy's a beast.
It depends, right? Because, for example, I would put myself like being really rusty right now. At this point, like I don't really play that much. If I play once every weekend, like it's a lot. But now I focus more on the sound rather than what I'm playing. That's why maybe you might have noticed or not, but I threw a little few hits and rocks here and there, like rough around the edges. But main thing that I focus now is on how it sounds more than how I'm playing. Put it that
Okay.
way.
The feel more than anything.
Exactly.
All right. So with that, let's get a little bit into who are you?
Well, I'm Luis or Luis, depending on where you're
El
from.
guitarrero.
El guitarrero.
I'm a staff engineer. Woo. My main focus is engineering. I used to play in bands for a while.
You don't play anymore?
And no, it's more of a hobby these days, and just decided not to play anymore in bands.
You said that you only play once every week or on the weekends. Is
Yeah.
there a reason why you only play?
Um, Sometimes it's more out of laziness, like to pick up
Okay.
the guitar. Other times it's just like either I'm doing something else or I'm just taking care of errands, and maybe it's just out of one day that I'm not doing anything, I'll get inspired and start playing again. Put it that way. It's more like a hobby these days, more than an obsession, how it was years ago.
Gotcha.
So let's jump back to years ago, all right? And then let's start with what got you into music. First of all, how'd you find the guitar?
It's funny that you say that because it was pretty much my father that got me into playing guitar. He had one of those little old style Spanish acoustics like that one over there, and he kept playing. He used to play in bands. He used to sing a lot when he was younger, so he still kept doing it as a hobby. So I kind of got interested because he's had an extra guitar laying around, so I just started messing around with it, and I kind of got into it. Like I kind of liked the sounds that came out of it whenever I was playing, or let me try this out and see what happens. And now you start adding notes to it, and you start adding chords to it and rhythm, and now like you're making sound out of a few strings attached to a piece of wood. So
So beautiful, man. Can you date back when that started?
God no, like it, I would put it around 2008.
I mean, as far as your age.
How old
They
were
don't
you?
know your age, yeah.
Roughly around I think maybe 14 or 15.
Damn,
Something-
that's
Beautiful,
beautiful.
something like that.
Yeah. Damn.
I would say
should have played guitar, man.
I remember you playing before that, if I'm being honest.
It seems like more time because it's been a while, but pretty much it's been more of like an on and off. Like for example, before it used to be obsessed over it. So like I would literally go before to school. I would wake up just an hour earlier just to get a little bit more playing in before I go to school, and then come back after school and start playing again until like 5 or 6 p.m.
See that?
Were you playing actual like music, or you were just randomly playing?
It's a mix. Like sometimes I was just trying to figure stuff out. Other times I would put a song that I heard on the radio on the way back from school, on the way to school, and I wanted to try it out. So I would just sit down and figure it and just play it and try keep picking it apart until I finally could figure out what they were doing in the song, or something that piqued my interest. For example, like either I was surfing around YouTube or like hearing stuff, or just remember when BH1 was a thing before?
Hell yeah, in the morning especially.
And I used to like see all these 90s and 80s retro songs and 70s sometimes. And I was trying to figure out what the hell the guitarist is doing at that part. So I would literally grab the guitar after him and just try and imitate whatever he was doing. Or figure out how he was doing it, basically.
That's
Right.
fire. Are you able today to play by ear?
Yeah, in fact, nowadays I only play by ear.
Bro, that's so
Yeah.
Pro-
I noticed how you tune the guitar. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. That huge respect to the people that do. I believe they call it sight reading, or that are able to read those whole pentagrams. Because I tried it once, and it's definitely not for me. Like it's magic for me. Like I'm looking at an alien language, basically.
So you can't read like music sheets.
I understand how they work. I understand like the white notes, blank notes, and like quarter notes, and how they're distributed and why they put it in there. The stops and pretty much any piano sounds or mezzo forte sounds and all that kind of stuff. But you put a sheet of paper in front of me and I try to play and I wouldn't be able to. So it's entirely by how it sounds, basically, that I pick up whatever I'm trying to play.
It kills
Or by
how
ear, I guess.
it kills how fluid you are, I guess.
No, I wouldn't put it that way. I would put it more than I'm more of a audio cues kind of guy than a pure visual. So if I'm looking at the sheet and I start playing, I don't know if chalk it up to ADHD or whatever it is, but I just tune out whatever I'm looking at and I just start playing by what I'm hearing, basically.
I got you. Damn. That's
It's actually more amazing that you play by ear to me.
Yeah.
Like I get the talent in playing the sheet music, and I think that that's very powerful still. But I think it's more powerful that you play it by ear. Like you can listen to something and say, "Oh, I can play that," and pick up the guitar and just like start, bro. That you is that not insane to you? Like to me, that's like an insane skill to have.
same.
I find it more insane to the people that do it without cheating like I am. Because, for example, I have well, I don't know if I still have it, but I used to have perfect pitch before. I still kind of have it, but I can tell by myself that because I haven't been practicing that much, I will find myself like thinking it's the one note up or half a note, like half step down, for example. But I I can hear a note and I know which note it is that's sounding.
That's fire.
So for me, it's a lot easy. It's really easy, like to just okay. So I'm hearing somebody playing an E, so I would just play like I literally just play an E, and that's it, pretty much.
I'll bring you up. I'm sorry. I
No,
brought
no,
it down
because
a little.
it's for example, like this is I would hear, for example, somebody playing E, right? So this is the E that they're playing, or a high E, for example, or somebody playing an A open and hearing whether it's a high E on the sorry,
Yeah.
a high A on the first string, or you go lower A on the lower strings. But then I started figuring out, okay, so I can hear a fan rolling, going on in the ceiling, and one of those loud Sanyo old school wall fans.
Yeah.
And the frequency that I was humming at, okay, so that's I can tell which note it's playing. Or like for example, you will tell sometimes that say for example the train horns or any car horn that they're playing. Some of them will have different notes compositions. Like some of them will play more of a major chord. Some of them will play a more of a minor chord. Some of them will just literally just play one note only.
Yeah.
And I'm able to tell, okay, so this is the note that it's playing, and I can hear what's the note it's playing. And I'm able to replicate it here on the guitar.
But that's exactly what he's saying is the accuracy with which you pick it up with your ear,
Yeah,
and
I think that's
and not a
amazing.
paper that's telling you what it's sounding like.
Yeah.
That's impressive, and that's what it is like. Do you recognize that not everybody has that skill?
Oh, 100%. Like
Right.
I feel like I'm more lucky than anything else. But
Right.
it also makes me appreciate the people that don't have it and still get up to that level.
Okay.
So they don't have the aids that the aid that I had, the hearing aid that I have. I already know how it sounds.
Yeah.
It even amazes me. Like sometimes they'll be able to like play something and a particular set of notes, a particular chord, and they're able to figure it out without knowing what they're playing. I mean, they know what they're playing, but they don't really know exactly. They'll be able over time to learn how to detect which note they're hearing.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, they're just throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks and what doesn't stick. Especially when they were trying to figure it out like early on, like in the 60s, 50s, and
Yeah.
everyone was trying to pick up a guitar and try to just throw everything at it, basically.
Perspective is crazy because I could feel how those people might long to have what you have, and how you're showing respect, or you admire and you show a type of respect to those people that don't have it and still get up there.
Exactly.
And so it's beautiful all the same. But
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this question, bro. Do you know what pitch a person is talking in? Or are you able to pick that up?
I'm able to I'm able to pick up the registers more because
What are the registers?
what I mean by register, for example, I don't know, you've heard before people that say, he or she is a soprano, or
Oh,
he's
gotcha.
a
The
tenor,
octave.
baritone.
Yeah.
So because the voice is more of a mix. Like for example, you really only pick up a few notes, but it's a combination of more intonation than actual singing. Like singing, you hold a note, but when you're talking with pretty much more like an accent. Pretty much like you're putting
Yeah.
intonation, or you're putting accentuation into the words that you're talking through, or when you're talking to someone. In fact, I was taking a few English classes a few years ago, and I was discussing with my English teacher that pretty much you get away with imitating an accent
Mhm.
more than with the actual word. You might not even say the actual word correctly, but if you put the right accent into it, people will understand you a lot easier.
Faster. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but to that effect. Okay, how about singing? Singing, you could
Now
pick up
singing, yeah,
what.
the singing especially, it's really easy for me to imitate. Well, I say easy, right? But it's a lot more practical for me to imitate on guitar because I can hear what note they're singing in. Like,
Because they're shooting for a note also.
exactly. Like for example, one really easy one, like "We Are the Champions," right? Where he was
Yeah.
like, "We are the." You can go here, like pretty much like. So you can
It's
really
beautiful.
capture that one really easy there because I already know what register they're going through, pretty much. But it's more because of the. I mean, I would say for me, I can pick it up the first time because of the perfect pitch. But a really, really, really good musician, regardless of whether he has perfect pitch or not, will be able to pick it up right away because of how much experience they have around the whole fretboard of the guitar, basically.
What is
Gotcha.
what does this do for you? All of that playing, diving in. Like what it, I have to think that okay, you said initially there was music around the house, and I know this, the audience doesn't know this, but because your father played and all that, but what did it do? It brought you joy. It was an escape from reality. What does it specifically do for you back then and nowadays?
Um, it's a mix.
Mm.
Like before, for example, when I was younger and I was starting to figure out stuff. It made me feel more. It's gonna sound a little bit ridiculous, but it made me feel more superhuman. Like I'm able to create sound out of my hands. Like I'm literally just going around the fretboard and going faster through the scales and learning how to play. And somebody goes, "Hey, do you know this song?" And I just go ahead and play it, and able to do stuff on command. Like made me feel a lot more empowered, pretty much.
That's not ridiculous at all, bro.
And from the joy point of view, like I don't know. I would consider myself that I'm really into melodies, like how something sounds, like how cars sound. A particular, like for example, this difference of a sound between a B6 or a B10, or how B6 will sound similar to the B12 because the sound that they make it's pretty much similar. There's only a little differences between the exhaust note that you get outside of it.
Mm.
Um, like I'm a very I've realized over the time that I'm more of an audio person than anything else. Like audio is more of my strength compared to either talking or watching something or paying attention to something. Like music, like hearing becomes more not a superpower, but more of the acuteness, pretty much to how I'm tuned, basically with how things happen.
I can tell about in the way that you're able to describe the differences, the minuscule differences in certain things. Like how you said that one sounds like the other,
Hmm.
and the only difference is the exhaust or the leaving when the sound is leaving or whatever. For you to say that like that, that means that in your head it's probably like 10 times more acute or accurate. And yeah, that's the best way you could describe it with words. Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
What do you think helped you develop all of that? I mean, obviously the years of playing, right? The years of doing it over and over. But at some point, do you feel that something clicked for you and was like, oh, this is that, and like you started kind of piecing piecing things together from there?
Ironically, that happened when I stopped playing. When I started playing less guitar.
Hmm.
Reason why is, like I said before, I used to be at a point where I knew the whole fretboard from top to bottom. Like, I knew before I was going to play something, I knew exactly where to go to get that sound. Over time, just life happened, and I started dropping the guitar more and more and more often, and it made me take a step back from the playing or the physical aspect of making music, and it took me back into the whole audio, like what I'm hearing to, or how a sounds, or how a note sounds. So whenever somebody's playing a clarinet on a song, what they're trying to get at, or a violin, for example. Violin I consider a really, really hard instrument, because not only they don't have frets, so they gotta be really precise where they're putting all their fingers and pointing at it.
I
And
didn't know that. So violinists don't have frets to guide them?
no, so for example, like I said, guitarists are really good at faking that they're really doing something awesome, because it's really
I mean,
we already have the like here
honest.
in the guitar, we already have
Bro,
all the
so you
steps
fooled
laid
me
out
the
for
whole
us.
time you were playing, bro?
Exactly. It's all camera
I was
tricks.
mesmerized, bro.
It's all smoke and mirrors, pretty much. But like here, for example, we already have the like the frets already defined. So I can go here, for example, and play one here, and I don't have to worry whether I put the finger slightly up or down. I'm still playing the same one.
Because it's hitting in the space.
Violin, though, if they're playing something, it's gonna be more like this. So they're putting the note exactly where it needs to be to get it in tune, and that takes years. Well, at least from what I've seen, it takes years of practicing until you know exactly where you're going to land.
Like you have more space, more margin for not error,
For error,
but to hit the note. You have more space to hit the note within the same thing. Versus them is like, it's you're half an inch off. It's sounding different.
And the advantage of that, it means that they can be a lot more aggressive with their sound. What I mean by that, for example, is like I will do a little bit of decorating to the note, but they can do a lot, much more, like a wider,
like the range,
wider range of expression. Let's put it that way. Because, for example, I'll start dropping names here. Brian May, for example, he found a way, or at least from what I've heard, like there's always somebody that did it before, but at least he was one of the ones that I've heard imitate the violin. And the reason that
with the guitar,
and what I mean by that is that for example, one of the solos that he plays, for example, this one here. So what he discovered is that instead of getting to the note, he can replicate that note, but coming in from the bottom of the note and holding it there. So he's playing this note, but with the lower fret, but bent up. But now he has a lot more margin. For example, he can only do this to the note.
Yeah,
that's all he can express with the note. Now, if he takes it from the from the bottom from the lower frets, he can add a lot more expression to it.
A wider range. That's fire.
So, and again, the lower you go to get that note, you get a lot more margin to bend that note around and get a lot more expression out of it. So that's pretty much what you hear with the really wild stuff that the guitarists are playing. Sometimes they'll use that margin to give the best word that I can describe it with is that they'll give it a lot more expression to the note that they're trying to. They're really trying to be really dramatic with the note.
Yeah,
they'll build a bigger margin in that band to get the note sounding a lot more expressive. And again, violinists is why you see them going really wild on here, and it's because they don't have to deal with the threats.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they can literally bend the note around by maneuvering the finger around that point that they're playing at. So it's a lot, like it has pros and cons. Like it's a lot harder, but it's a lot freer with how you can define the sound that you're trying to make there. And of course, it's all written down. Like it's somebody that composed that whole arrangement.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll leave it up to interpretation of the player, and that's where you get that's where the players start to become famous, because that's when they start developing their own sound, pretty much.
They put their name, their touch, and people that constantly hear that type of sound, or people playing the violin,
Exactly.
can pick them apart. And so that's how they se destacan, like that. That's how they set themselves apart from the rest. That's crazy, because you're over there admiring them. We're over here admiring you, man.
But I would say it's more part of the fun, because obviously there's people that are stuck up, and it's like they have some superiority complex, and my music's better than yours, so I won't listen to that. That's either the stuff of the devil, or that's whack, or I don't want to listen to that. But
yeah.
I've been able to, like I said, the less I stopped playing, the more I was able to focus on what I'm playing and the more what I'm hearing. And I keep repeating that, because the point I'm trying to make is it opens up more your ears. A little pun there. It opens up more your ears for as to what you're able to listen to.
Yeah.
Inside music. Like, for example, before I couldn't stand hip hop. I couldn't stand rap. I couldn't stand jazz playing. For example, I couldn't stand orchestras, or I couldn't stand any kind of music, even pop, before. But now I've been able to take a different approach to it, and hear, okay, so what are they trying to convey through those sounds? Like, what are they trying to convey through the words or the storytelling, which is a huge element in urban music, and theatrics, and more color to it. Like, what are trying to paint, what image they're trying to paint in front of you through sound, pretty much. And it changes the whole aspect of how I started to approach music, from less of a less of a product and more of a performance. Put it that way.
So really, with all that, really what you're saying is, when the guitarist is on the stage and he's sweating, he's making all these faces and going like that. That's theatrics.
It's theater.
Well, there's a difference.
Is he lying to me, Louis?
There's a difference, because so some
It's pre-recorded, ain't it?
it's pre-recorded. You'd be surprised, but
No, do that.
Don't ruin me like that, bro.
But
Don't do that.
in reality, it's another key word, another really great buzzword. It's nuance. So it's a lot nuance, in the sense that, for example, there's a few clips somewhere, John Mayer, for example, that he explained it really well. Like, some of the guitar players are making those faces because, and I know this because I've tried it before, and it does work.
Yeah.
To get a specific sound or a specific note that you're trying to play, you have to make that expression to kind of wrinkle it out, like pull it out
Get the vibe out of it, yeah.
To get to get that vibe out of it. And you see those really weird, the guitar faces that they make. They're making it, some of them are, getting into the moment. Some of them are, it's just like exuding all that energy, or and some of them are just like trying to get into that zone, that zone inside their head to play that note. And
you saved it with that, bro.
Yeah,
you saved it. You almost killed all hope.
No, but that makes sense,
it's still
though.
Theatrics, though, but
they're so Nirvana,
mm-hmm.
right? What was the main dude's name? I forgot.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain.
Guy, shotgun. You know the guy.
So when he played, bro, like you can see how deep he's into it. Like when he's playing, I feel like he goes into the guitar, and you could say the same thing about like the nuance part of it. Like, oh, you're just kind of like, you don't need to do all that. But when you're so lost in the music and you feel it that deep, you do need to go and make those faces, because that, bro, you're feeling that's inside of you, so you're letting it out, the expression. So I get it if you're doing it for, just,
Optics.
added effect. Yeah, optics. But when you're really into it, I feel like you don't control it. It just happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. Someone like that, I would say. I don't know about other people on stage. I don't know what they're doing. But I think someone like Nirvana, though, or like Kurt Cobain, when I watched him play, I was like, bro, this guy was amazing. Like, like, he was so good. Like, how? Like, there's some people, bro, the band Kiss, right? Bro, I'm like, I'm not into that type of music. But the talent, bro, I'm into that. I was like, wow, mind blown, bro. Like it's crazy. And I feel like those people their expression is not staged.
Mm-hmm.
That's like this is happening inside of me. Like, I gotta let that out, bro.
No.
And again, you never know if they're phoning it in or if they're being real.
That's a
at
good
that
point.
But
That's an art in itself.
no, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like
Yeah.
you gotta get at the point where you start to realize like who cares that if it's being phoned
Right.
in or not. Like what are you getting out of it? Or some of them might believe it that this is what they are.
Yeah.
This is what they are. So this is all that they're giving it.
This is
into
what
it,
that chord deserves.
and whether
Yeah.
whether it's good, whether it's bad, at the end of the day, it's more about the, like I said, more about the effort that they're putting into that product, basically.
What does wrestling do for you? I came out of nowhere.
Wrestling, no, this is a really hard one for me because, again, I used to hate wrestling before. I used to find it ridiculous. And after I kind of
You said it twice to let us know.
But then I realized, like, okay, so it's, I understand now what they're doing,
Yeah.
and I never got into it, but now I develop more of an appreciation for what they're trying to do, what they're all about.
You love art because wrestling is an art.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's what you find out is that it's really hard.
Yeah.
They're acting
throwing-
in live television or like
They're
live for
throwing
people.
themselves off the ring into a lot of really, really unsafe stuff.
Yeah, that's
like
true. Yeah,
tables,
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like if stuntmen became the protagonist
Like-
every single episode.
like OSHA would never let them see the light
Oh,
of day
no,
if
for
they
sure,
were
for
around
sure.
any of that. But
No.
they're there to put on a show. And
Tom Cruise ain't got shit on them.
And
Yeah.
damn it, they're gonna put on a show.
It's the stuntmen's your time to shine, basically.
Exactly, and they're good at it. Like,
Yeah.
they're-
I don't. Yeah, but I don't want to do that thing I always do that I just did, which is drive us out.
No, but it's a really good point because again, you go back into appreciating art, right?
Versus judging it, yeah, like it's fake or
Yeah, and
I do that. I did that.
and I do.
we've
it
all
too.
done
I
it.
might
We've
still
all
do
done
that.
it,
And I do it.
and I loved wrestling.
And I'll probably do it again. but the point is that you start to appreciate things and you start to look at them in a different light. Maybe it's because I don't know, I grew up or my way of thinking changed, or I started looking at Ric Flair more and more often, and I understand and how he builds that whole brand image, right?
Yeah,
How John Cena, how John Cena's a household name, like him everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, right. But you never know where he is.
about that?
So it's more, it builds something a bigger than life.
Hey, yo, for somebody who
picture.
don't like wrestling, bro, you sure know a lot about it, bro.
No,
Yeah.
listen. I used to watch the cage matches. I used to watch SmackDown. I used to watch WWE. Is WWE one?
It
was the one before. It was before
WWF.
ECW, I think. Wasn't
ECW.
Dude,
Yeah.
no, thank God you don't know anything.
So no, because I used to watch it. They used to play it a lot.
WrestleMania 21.
346.
5,000.
Yeah, I never got to that point, but
I don't think they got to that
but
point yet.
I got into.
You'd be surprised.
It was a point where I got a lot into the memes and all the fun stuff,
Yeah.
and the shared throwing. Like it looked really fun.
Let's
I know it must have
be
hurt a
honest.
lot.
The RKO.
Yeah,
Watch out!
It's more of the chaos going on,
Yeah.
and you're watching this, right? Sometimes live, sometimes pre-recorded. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like you want to find out what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
Who's gonna get thrown into a table? Who's gonna come
Especially
out
when
and
they
start
do,
bleeding in the next 5 minutes?
When they're doing the following somebody's timeline on
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
telling
yeah.
a story,
Exactly.
Yeah.
like that stuff.
The
is so
backstage,
catchy,
the
bro.
backstage
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
So I started to appreciate that more, and it made me realize, okay, so I need to look at more stuff in a different light too. Like,
Wait. So you did get into it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Got him.
I can't say that I got into it.
You watch
because-
it every Thursday,
because
bro.
No, I don't.
I
only
wish
watch-
I did, bro. I used to love wrestling, so
Me
I wish
too.
I did.
Me
No,
too.
I
I
wish-
was the person arguing. No, that's real. That's real. Dude, when they hit them, they smack their chest. That's part of the thing. That's real.
I heard it.
Listen. The TB might be fake, but the injuries are real.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'll respect that. I'll respect that now more than ever. It might not be your Olympic, wrestling and your
Yeah.
and your get down on the ground and low and dirty. I'll leave that off to UFC and all
Yeah.
those crazy animals.
They definitely give you a show,
UFC is
though.
fire too.
But it's like I go back to merit. Like there's a lot of effort that they're going through to give you a show.
So what you appreciate is the leaving it all on the table.
All the energy that they're
could
trying
see
to channel through and build something, create something out of it.
Yeah.
You appreciate the art, man. That's awesome, bro. I like that
That's
about
fire.
you. I like that you're
I like that
not.
perspective.
I mean, I think, like you said too, is that like we all been there where we kind of dismiss something because it's not our taste. But as you're becoming more of an artist, you start appreciating all arts, which leads me to that point that I really like about you is that you seem like a full artist to that point. Yeah, like you're sitting up here playing the guitar, but you are very aware of art in itself and you appreciate it in every way. The way were describing the sound of the muffler, I'm like, bro, I have no idea what you're talking about, but the fact that you know that is amazing to me.
Yeah.
And again, it's more out of I don't know if you could call it being a geek about that kind of stuff, or like for example, I can tell you very embarrassingly that I spent more than 3 hours trying to find how the original horn
horn
for the Titanic sounded. So I
Wait,
couldn't
what do you
find.
mean?
So back then and the all the ocean liners, like you remember everyone knows about the Titanic.
Yeah.
They had their system, the horn that they had. Exactly. That comes.
Was that it?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? It's basically a glorified organ. They take the steam that they're creating for the engines and to move
for the
them,
power.
and they're channeling some of that steam to some pipes, literally sorted out as organs, and they're really loud. And they actually recovered like the horns from the Titanic, and right now they only send compressed air through it because they're fearing that it'll blow out and crack from the frequencies of trying to put steam through there. But they were loud, and there's no. I was so curious to hear how it sounded that the only recording that I could find was from one of the sister ships that they recorded coming in, and they recorded it back in the 1920s. Still to this day, I don't know how they used to record that stuff, and now I can find it somewhere on the internet, basically.
What's really crazy is they covered the organs, but not the bodies of the people who went to see it.
Wow, that's incredible.
Well,
I could be better. I'll do better, man.
Yeah, stuff happens.
Stuff,
Basically.
yeah. Oh, stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Implosion.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I digress. Let's get back to music. Hold on. Let me call my guy. Because he... Lawyer!
Oh, you won't need him.
Save me. Pick me out of the depths. With music, right? Like, what is your favorite type of music? Or who do you try to emulate? Whether that's a band, artist, a style.
That's a really, really tough question.
Yeah, that's what we got for you.
That's what we asking.
You're very talented and you know how to express yourself precisely. I'm gonna say that's the word I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna let you do your thing.
Dramatic pause. But the reason why I say it's tough, it's because I used to have my guitar heroes, right? I used to get into my whole Eric Clapton phase, hearing Layla all the time and playing the whole. Where was it? Or the whole. Wow. Yeah. That whole thing with Eric Clapton. Then I got into like the Jimi Hendrix, the whole. Well, I'm not gonna play right now. That's how rusty I am. I forgot.
Nah, bro, do it. You got this.
Got into the whole. Okay. for example. Nope, it's here.
Lil Wayne, what is this?
That's Little Wing. That's
Oh.
When he had his rocker phase, or
no, that's actually that's one of the what people call the deep cuts, but it wasn't so much of a deep cut. Like if you ask any right now and any Jimi Hendrix fan that's hearing right now is going like sacrilege. That's one of the most popular songs that he had. No, but it's one of the more subtle songs that he has, and it's a really really warm sounding song, even though it's really dark, and dark in the sense that not dark of the content, but dark in it's it has a really
the atmosphere.
like a really eerie atmosphere to it.
So you said Little Wayne,
Yeah.
Little Wayne.
not Lil Wayne. I thought you said Lil Wayne. I was like, wait.
Little Wayne, we're not gonna get into that one, but Little Wing,
Gotcha.
that one for
Oh,
example.
song, yeah.
I thought it was Lil Wayne. Yeah.
No, because see, you get back into it, right? I'm gonna go into it. Little Wayne, for example, he's really good at what he does. Not guitar, but he's really good.
He plays guitar
He
too.
plays
though.
guitar
And he
but-
skateboard.
and he skateboards. But guitar's not for him. But but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, right? I'm gonna
Killed them.
I'm gonna get into the really.
That was so subtle.
Gonna get into a really cheeky part here. This is where I get in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, Lil Wayne is really really good at the genre that he plays in.
For sure.
He's a master at it.
That's why he mastered it.
Yeah.
But like if you go all the way back to Jimi Hendrix, for example, it's a completely different genre and a completely different motif or a completely different melody. And I lost my train of thought on that one. You might want to edit that one out. But for example,
Keep it in.
But what I want to say is, for example, here's the thing. I mentioned Lil Wayne because, again, hip hop has a lot of rock elements that they pick up.
I'll reel you back in.
A lot of influences that they have all the way back from. Some of them might have heard Little Wing playing on the radio, the whole or the whole right, all that whole stuff. And even though they haven't heard it since they heard it on the 8-track player from their father, mothers, or friends' car while they were rolling around back then, still now when they're developing their sound, it comes through.
Yeah.
And it gets me into another point, right? Which is about the whole copying thing. Like, oh, he's just copying whatever XYZ person did before, but that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
The whole point of it is to take what you learn from all your influences, everything that you heard, and now you try to revisit that and try to give it a spin or try to give it your
Just
spin.
like the violinist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like
Similar to that.
similar because, for example, for the violinist, the tricky part about them is that the composer, he puts what they're gonna play and how they're gonna play it exactly, how slow, how strong, how weak, how subtle the note is, how aggressive the note is. If you're gonna do double stops, everyone before there used to be a time where double stops used to be like all the rage.
Sounded amazing.
And double stops, what it means basically is instead of doing just one note, right, you combine two. So for lack of a better term, you stop on two notes. And double stops on violin, the violin sounds way better than on guitar because it's a lot more cleaner sound. But there was a few players back in the day when orchestra was a lot more popular, I would say, or a lot more relevant.
Yeah. Relevant is better than popular.
Yeah. You used to have players trying to give their own take on the song. So they learn how the composer wanted them to play, they master it, They know it now by heart. They don't need to. Ironically, they don't need to read the sheets anymore because they already know how to do it.
Yeah.
Now they start to give it their own style,
There's spin on it. Yeah.
and it can be really controversial. Others might go like, "Oh, that's sacrilege," trying to change what the composer did. But this is their way of saying, "This is what I got to say about the song,"
Yeah.
or "This is how I feel about it," or "This is how I feel it should go." Doesn't mean that he's right or wrong.
Yeah.
It just means that this is what he feels about it, basically.
They throw their perspective on it. I also think, as you were saying, not just for the violinist, but the whole like plagiarism or they're copying such and such from back then. It stems from, hey, I loved this or this did something for me at some point in life, and it still does. Let me show you this with my eyes, with my mind.
Exactly.
Let me add myself to, I love this and it did something for me. Let me show you how I think with this. Let me express myself with this because this is part of
It inspired them.
it inspired them. Thank
And
you.
I feel like J. Cole said this in somewhere, I think like at the end of Forest Hill Drive, where he was like talking. He was saying like I think it's producers or whoever owns the rights to the music, how they try to sue you for using samples of certain songs, but it's like, bro, that inspired me to come up with this song. You should be happy, and I get it. We're all trying to get paid. That's completely understandable. But also, like a lot of times, artists like him who have that reach, they will try to get the sample cleared with paying them or getting a cut of whatever money comes from that, and they just don't do so. So then now you're preventing me from expressing my art the way that I was inspired by your art because of whatever egotistical reason you may have, which a lot of times happens, right? We let our ego come in between and we're like, no, I don't want you using my song, whatever. And it's like, bro, that inspired me. Let me do something creative with it so that way we can both win.
Show my appreciation for it as well.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you provided this for me to get inspired.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you did it for me to just listen to and then forget about it.
For nobody to listen to.
Right.
You didn't do it to keep it in the pocket. Obviously, if I've heard it.
If you put it out,
Yeah.
it was to motivate, inspire, or like for
Yeah.
people to enjoy. So now that I enjoyed it, it motivated me, it inspired me. Now I want to do something either along the lines of it or with it. Like Ed Sheeran had that lawsuit with I don't really know too much about the lawsuit, but you're getting sued because you use a similar melody to an older melody, and it's like, bro, I can't even like I can't even pick up a guitar then because every melody that's out there has probably been used. Now I just have to
Yeah.
like redo them differently.
Every single little note, every single note combination that you can think of,
Has-
likely has been done before.
right?
Already.
So it's like
it's true.
so you can't really. I don't know. That's just me ranting.
No, and funny that you mentioned the samples because I was just about to go into the samples thing because, again, whether or not they're ripping off another person, that's a whole different subject. Because they're trying to ride on the coattails of somebody else that already did before, but it's subjective because how do you prove that person was actually trying to rip off? And it's not like you said he liked it so much. I want to give it my own spin on it. If it's doing exactly the same song, then okay, then maybe they had an arrangement to it, or maybe I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here and say that maybe it was sheer coincidence that he didn't realize that he was using the same song. And again, you might correct me if I'm wrong.
The courts are probably going to disagree with coincidence.
But it's so subjective because music is so complicated in the sense that, like I mentioned before, there's so many influences. Like what you hear before, it's what influences you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever saw. There's
I'm blind, bro.
One guy, one guy, for example, he had good one. One guy that had his three daughters. He never let them listen to a single song, and he gave them instruments and then he told him, okay, just do whatever you want with them. And he recorded it. It's somewhere in the deep internet.
Some guinea pigs.
And it sounds horrible. It sounds really, really bad.
I'm sorry.
It's sheer incompetence in what they did.
His
But
straight face saying they just.
But it proves the point. It proves the point that if you don't have anything to base it off, yeah, like there's music became from people just hitting stuff and finding that it makes sounds and making melodies out of it,
punching each other and saying, "Oh, that's squishy."
Exactly, but the point is, for example, that it's soul influence. Like it all channels back from what we've heard before and what we're thinking of right now and trying to make it into something new. Whether or not you make it into your own thing, that's completely up to you, and that's completely up to the listener. Also has all the right to either reject it or accept it.
Yeah.
But it's up to you to decide. Okay, so you want to imitate. Do you want to be the flatter the sound that you're trying to imitate, or do you want to give it your spin? It's completely up to you. That's what makes music fun, because you can decide whatever you want to do with your choice of sound.
So I wanna understand clearly what you were trying to say there. So if I've never heard any song, any music prior in my life, but you put a guitar or a piano in front of me, and I start trying to play something, at first it's gonna sound horrible, but over time, are you saying that I won't be able to compose something if I've never heard anything?
No, you'll be able to. But what I mean is that the point I was trying to make is the aspect of the influence, what you've heard before.
Okay.
You will figure it out eventually.
Okay, gotcha.
Because again, the reason that we have instruments is because somebody else either by accident, by coincidence, or they figure, oh, this thing makes a sound, or they were bored and were trying to make a melody, because again, we started communicating through sound. So whenever we start communicating through sound, then that turns into a whole different thing of, okay, so now you're trying to make sounds become a melody. Now you're singing by accident without realizing you're happy. You start singing, you start doing melodies. Some people do it differently. Some people are wired different, whatever.
Yeah.
But
can you imagine that crazy ass guy at the campfire who just started singing out of nowhere and people probably just looking at him?
They probably stoned him to death. But
what is that?
Killed them.
or the classic thing back then. Witch! Here's a witch!
It's a demon.
It's a demon!
It sounds amazing. Kill him.
That's why everyone kept saying whenever rock started to take its foothold.
Okay,
it's the devil's music.
Yeah.
But and again, it depends on the person that's listening. They can either accept it or reject it. It's up to them.
Yeah.
That's what makes it. That's what makes music. But the point I'm trying to get is all these people that use samples to make music.
Yeah.
They've listened to that music before, and they go, "I like this block of music," or "I like this sound. This is the sound that I want as the background to what I'm about to say."
These elements. Yeah.
This is what they're hearing in their head whenever they're telling their story, whenever they're doing their composition, whenever they're doing their rhymes, their poems, whatever they're throwing on there. But it's a connection. It's a connection that they feel to that sound, that sample, that melody that they're using. Some of them don't do samples. Some of them might do other things, and it becomes who they are, whether you like it or not, and whether you want to say it's a ripoff or not. Again, who has any right to know whether or not? It's up to you to decide, basically.
I want to get into your shows, bro. When you were on the stage, you're a little more relaxed now. You live life at a pace now, but at a certain point, I know that you were like in a band and you were playing places.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you've been a rock star.
Yeah. How'd that feel for you?
It is, for unfortunately, still the best time of my life. The reason why is it's like taking a plane, for example. So taking a flight somewhere. You have to deal with checking in. You have to deal with customs. You have to wait for the plane. You have to sit down. You have to wait for it. Then you take off, and there's only the sound of the plane going through, but there's no noise. It's just the plane. That's it. There's no distractions. There's no hornet's nest that you hear in your brain going around. In the stage, when you're playing, that's the only thing that you're thinking about at that point. It's just playing and what you're playing and how it's sounding and what's going on at that point. Like there's nothing else. And it might sound crazy, but the adrenaline that you start to feel before you're gonna go on. And I can imagine for like the guys who are playing. Like, I never played giant concerts and all that. Like most, not bragging by the way. The most that I did was like about a 500 crowd or something like that.
Yeah.
The energy that you feel before you go up, it's not an energy of nervousness that I'm gonna do bad. It's an energy of I can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. And you start to feel a little bit of adrenaline pumping. I imagine that the professionals and anyone that does it for a living, they get adrenaline pumping for sure because it's a feeling that you get, the excitement and the energy that you just want to go and release it all on stage, basically.
Wow.
And whenever you got the crowd connected to you and whenever whenever the energy between you and the crowd, which is the main reason of playing live, whenever that's in sync, like there's nothing that beats it, basically. Like you feel alive at that point, basically. Like you feel like you reached the peak of where you want to be at any given point. That's where you want to be, up there playing. And before, at the beginning, I used to just show off what I got, the cocky little guitar player. But then I wanted to feed the energy of the music to the crowd. I wanted to focus more on not giving them what they want, but more giving them something to listen to or something to pay attention to, basically.
Fire.
Not attention seeking, because attention seeking, again, you can just play really flashy and like I said, put an act on stage,
Do the
and
faces, yeah.
do the faces and everything. But it's more about making something happen at that stage that gets that either speaks to them or connects with them or gets their attention. Like you're trying to prove a point. You're not proving a point to anyone there when you're up on stage. You're either trying to sing a song, you're either trying to convey a message, you're either trying to build or create a wall of sound, or give them an experience. For example, some of the wilder acts, like they try to do a lot of theatrics and pyrotechnics on stage to make it more of an experience.
Yeah.
With the crowd, and you got the interaction with them, the sing-alongs and the cheering, and like I said, random stuff that happens, people throwing stuff at you. I've had drinks thrown at me, for better or for worse.
Damn, for real?
But
Thank you.
yeah, they never taste good. But but the point is that it's a very weird experience to play on stage or play live. Like, for example, one of the wildest things that I did was to just I don't know what they call it in English, but basically
in Spanish.
I don't even know what it's called in Spanish.
He just knows what it is.
But yeah, it's just go and play on the street. Just go and grab an instrument, bring it out. There's no giant speakers to back you up. It's just grabbing an instrument and start playing. Or you have a singer and you start playing on the street.
With the hat and stuff.
Yeah, and hat on the bottom because we were hungry. We needed to get a bite, so we just put that down and start playing. But we actually started getting a few people come along and start singing because we start playing Lamento Boliviano. Back in Puerto Rico, that's really huge.
Yeah,
La Secta or Black Guayaba and all those.
You want to hit the vein. You're talking about drugs, bro.
Exactly. And
sing one of those, bro.
And again, we did it because we were hungry at that point. But at the same time, we did it because it's cool to do. Like it feels. Yeah. It's a really weird experience to let everything that you have there in terms of music, let everything out right there on the spot spontaneously. There's no set, there's no preparation for it. It's just bring the equipment out and start playing, and it's exciting. Like it, not adrenaline pumping, but exciting in the in the sense of that, like I said, you're opening yourself up to the world right there and there.
Do you think it was it was or is the medium in which you could be most vulnerable with people and or convey a message to the best of your ability? Was it the best method other than, let's say, sports or jokes or any other type of art that you just like for you at least at that time? Was it the best way that you can connect with people in a way?
I wouldn't say it was the best.
Mhm.
I would say it was the ones that made the most sense.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Because
That
and
makes
again
sense.
and again,
makes money, dollar bills, yo.
yeah, but again, in the sense that it's not about, okay, this is logically what I need to do right now. It's more, this is what I feel like doing right now. This is the thing that I'm more interested in doing right now at this point. Like, for example, like I mentioned before, when I was back in school and I just got my first electric guitar, I the main thing that I wanted to do was wake up early, play for a while until it was time to go to school, wait doing nothing in school, then coming back home and start playing again until I couldn't feel the fingertips anymore, because that's what I wanted to do.
That's fine.
And stop, rinse and repeat, and keep on playing and keep on playing and
Sounds
keep on
like
playing,
love,
because
bro.
that's the only thing that I wanted to do
Yeah.
at that point. I didn't feel like playing video games, which is just another obsession that I used to have and still have to a certain extent. But
All aboard say aye, aye.
exactly. But it's the main thing that I guess made me feel something the most at that point.
Mm. So the first time that you were gonna get on stage, did you get? Because the way you're describing it, from an unexperienced person in that regard, the way you're describing it, did it feel like that the very first time you did it, or was it, or did the I'm talking about the energy before a show, or did it feel like anxiousness and maybe even like a little bit of stage fright the first time, and then once you did it, you realized what that was, or from the beginning you're like, oh no, I want to go, like ever since like from the first time that you
It's weird because I developed the I want to go feeling
yeah.
later on.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah.
At that point, um, it's a mix. It's a roller coaster of things, because you start practicing for it, right? Because I'm remembering it right now. Like, you start practicing in small little rooms, smaller, like a half of this one here, and you're just playing and practicing, and you're doing all the notes good and everything, and you start to feel a sense of it's gonna happen now. Like, you're gonna play in front of a crowd, and like I said, back when you're starting to where you're starting to learn how to play, you want to make sure that you want to try to sound good. Not ideally what you want to try. Ideally, what you want to do is enjoy the moment. But at that point, the only thing that you're thinking is, I gotta get it right. I gotta get it right.
Land this shit.
But when the lead up to it, you start to get nervous, because the lead up to it, you start thinking, do I have the equipment? Is the guitar in tune? Are the strings good? Again, some people, this is from my point of view. Some other people, they couldn't care any less if everything was working. They just got up there, and whether a guitar was going to work or not, whatever, they just send it pretty much. Especially the punk guys, they're professionals at it. But from my point of view, it happens so quick. Like, you get up to the stage. When you get up to the stage and you start playing, it's like a release. Like, it's not that the nervousness goes away, but it's now in the back of your head. Now what you have in front of you is like the sound, what you're playing. And I made the mistake also that I was playing with a borrowed effects pedal as well. And at that point, it was when I started to play live, it was with the electric guitar, and I borrowed a pedal from my teacher at that point, and I didn't know how to operate it. I just knew, okay, this pedal makes the guitar louder. This pedal gives me the wah wah for expression, and that's it. That's all I need. That's all I need to know. Everything else I didn't know. So you kind of trying to look around where your pedals are, and where you are on the stage, because you don't want to step on your chord and rip it out. I already did it like about 7 times, and I still did it during the latest years of me playing live. That's why you see the guys like wrap around the whole cable around the strap, just to make sure that if you step on it, you only pull on the joint here between the strap and not on the cord itself.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
Every rookie that you see, you'll see that, and you'll notice right away that he's a rookie, or he's starting to play live when he doesn't have that little roll there, because it's gonna happen to him. Because when you get into it, and I say, because it used to happen a lot to me. You get so much into it that you're not paying attention where your cord is, and
Or
you'll
you
step on
step
it
in
and you
it.
yank it out. It's bound to happen. It's not a bad thing. It's just it happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Man,
but
that's experience talking right there.
the whole live aspect out of it, like, there's so much going on that you don't really have time to think about the moment at that point. And I know that it might sound like, oh, it's really dramatic what's going on here, but there's so much things, like you're playing, you're trying to match what everyone else is playing, which is something that I developed at the beginning. I just wanted to pay attention to how I'm sounding. Period. There's nothing else. I don't care what the drummer's doing. I don't care what the singer's doing. I just want to play my thing, do it, and get off stage. That's all I want to do. But over time, I started to develop. Okay, so I want to hear how he's sounding, what energy the other guy's putting on, and what is the singer doing? Is he singing a little bit with less energy today? Maybe his voice is a little strained today, or tired, or like match the energy and match the intensity and match what the other guys are doing. I start paying attention less to what I'm playing and more what the other guys are doing.
You became a puzzle piece rather
Exactly.
than, let me get all this shine.
At that point, when I started to play that way, that's where I started to get excited about playing live. Because then I was starting to get more focused on how the whole ensemble sounds. That's why I really got into bands. Like, if you ask me what's my favorite type of playing, it'll always be an ensemble playing. Because solo, it's awesome. So solo, it's really hard, and it's an incredible thing to watch a solo artist play. But for me, the main rush that I get is trying to play in unison with another person and trying to make it work. There was a lot of bands, and there still are a lot of bands that had a lot of friction in between members, and they made incredible music either because of the friction, in spite of the friction, but the friction was a factor for sure. But them trying to play together creates that whole magic of the music. I'm not saying that you need to put two people that hate each other to play together to get good music. It's not.
that's
not
how
gonna
that's how
happen.
you start a band, people.
That's how you started.
You find somebody you hate,
True, actually.
and then you put them together in a room and say, "Now you're a band.
There you go.
Make some music."
Exactly.
Dude, it doesn't just work like ring.
No, start throwing stuff. Make sure that you have a few throwables beside
yeah.
you to
Throw
really
it against the wall, like you said.
really get the point across. But the energy and the coordination between other people to try and play to the same goal, which is to play a song or build a sound. That's the thing that gives me the most rush. That's why bands are like my main appeal, basically, of music.
What's your favorite band?
Favorite band, again, a great question, a really hard one, because it has changed over the years.
Lil Wayne.
Before, I'll get to that one in a second.
Which one is currently right now? If you're going in your car, you're gonna play the band that comes to your mind. What are you playing?
First thing that I'll play is Queens of the Stone Age.
I thought you were gonna say Hoobastank.
Not Hoobastank. I used to play Hoobastank.
Specific.
Funny you mentioned that. I used to play Hoobastank a lot. But not my taste. My interest in bands has changed over the years. Before, the first band that I really got into, that I say this is my favorite band, was Led Zeppelin.
Okay. I will say I feel like that's a lot of guitarists.
Yeah.
Like
They'll
favorite
gravitate
bands.
towards it because in that particular group, the guitarist, he has the more of a role of the painter than the role of a virtuoso. Some people will obviously argue with me about this, but he wasn't that good of a guitar player, Jimmy Page, the Led Zeppelin guitarist.
No, go ahead.
But he was a great musician, an incredible musician. And I don't know if it's from his years playing as, working as a studio musician, playing for everyone else. I don't know if it's meeting with, before he used to play with Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton together. I don't know if it's from that what it is, but his sense of melody and how he places the melodies, that's why he gets a lot of guitarists excited when they hear him, because they're hearing somebody paint a picture with the guitar in a song. And again, some people might say I'm glorifying him, and that's, again, completely understandable or fine. Everyone has their own likes and dislikes, and everyone, it's okay to be wrong, what I'm saying. But but at least the main appeal for me at that time, and still do have that appeal to this day, is that he sounds more like he's crafting something rather than just playing something. He's trying to build a whole picture inside the song, and again, he knew how to get around the guitar, but he wasn't that proficient in technicality. A lot of the sounds that he had, especially later on with the cocaine years and all the I don't remember, God, how many drugs he had back in the 80s, but
Didn't they all, bro?
Everyone, but him in particular, like he was pushing it a few times, but his playing degraded as time went on. But what he put on record, for example, on the albums when he was composing, you can tell that he had an idea in his mind of how he wants the guitar to sound in arrangement with all the other instruments.
It was a complete vision rather than I want to be the best at this and show off my skills at being the best.
Exactly.
That's fire. That's fire how you're able to pick that out too.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example, nowadays, Queens of the Stone Age, it's a band that's kind of popular within the circles, kind of not. Depends on who you ask. But nowadays, it's one of my favorite bands because they have a really good neck for sounding really loose, like really
Like a laid back sound.
like kind of drunken. There's a guy that called it a drunken stumble, especially the guitar player. The guitar player, again, he's
drunk.
not that flashy. He's not that flashy. He doesn't have a ton of techniques. But the scales and the melodies that he plays, it's really, really hard to imitate. You can learn it, no problem. But to make it sound the way that he makes it sound and the way that he freestyles, it's completely unorthodox way to play the guitar. Like,
you got to be drunk to do it.
Maybe.
And stumbling.
Maybe, but he plays like if he was drunk. Put it that way. But and he was drunk for a lot of times. But
Fire.
But
there's a looseness to what they're playing, but it's not easy playing. Like they're playing a lot of really intricate, not complicated. There's a difference. It's not complicated what they're playing, but they're putting a lot of thought into what they're playing inside that song.
It's the details.
Exactly. It's a very detailed sound, but they also make it sound like a really loose, really laid back sound as well.
So much so that it might feel like it lacks effort, but it's done on purpose.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think of Maroon 5?
I love them.
Maroon 5, it's complicated for me because I used to be a huge fan of them. Obviously, they went the whole Adam Levine route.
What is that route?
Basically, Adam Levine and Maroon 5 show basically these days. More pop and more him, less band. Before they used to have a very unique sound, especially their first album, Songs About Jane.
That's the one, bro.
I know everyone, will call, it's like the most basic answer that you could have for that one, but they had a much cohesive sound back then. Like they were trying to prove something that they were good. And I don't know. Again, like it's just a direction that they wanted to go in. It's completely up to them. But I became more disinterested in them when I started to feel it. At least that's what I feel. You never know if they're actually trying. Like I said before, it's all subjective.
Yeah.
But they started to move a more people like to call it a more commercialized route. For me, I call it more of we already did those first 2 or 3 albums. Now we just want to, get a paycheck and
They
play
cruise.
casually and just call it in, basically.
They did the easy shit, bro.
So they lack effort into what
Yeah.
they're doing,
Not effort into what they're doing, because again,
or not? They lack creativity.
not even creativity. It's
Okay.
more. It's really for me. It's really complicated to explain it because it's not that they're not putting effort into playing live. Everyone, I can tell you that very rarely there will come a time when an artist is not putting an effort to play live. It's more of the effort in the sense of what they're trying to create with their music. It's they had a very specific sound before, a very specific vibe or energy to them. That was really, I don't know if you could call it fresh sounding at that time, but very melodic, very more composed, very more composed sound, but not composed in sense of more composed energy, but a more sophisticated sound.
Yeah.
Basically, nowadays it's more of it's more of a pop sound. But again, I'm not saying that because it's pop, it's bad.
It's like make it catchy and call it a day.
Not so much make catchy and call it a day, but it feels like they're just going with the motions. Basically, like we're just gonna record an album, get it out of the way, record it, put it out, and
Get the
and
check,
that's-
go home.
yeah.
I'll go back to your first explanation. It's like at first they had something to prove and they had a vision and they were painting pictures. And now, whereas now is, I go back to this. I mean, whether that's different to how you guys feel or not, I feel like is the easy shit. It's the label route. It's the shit that the label would ask you to play.
Yeah.
Cause it'll hook the mainstream. It's the whole mainstream thing. They're a good example of when a band does what puts them on the map versus the cruising aspect of things.
Exactly.
And to your credit, you kind of said that. You're like, first albums is like, oh, we did the thing. We dejamos el pellejo ahí, como dicen. Like, we left it there. We gave it all. We put it there. We put out exactly what our vision, what we wanted it to be, and now we're doing what the algorithm would have us do, and what would bring in. I hate that I'm doing that, but what would bring in money and would be safe. They're being safe, bro. That's how I feel. Just like animals, that's very safe, bro.
But see, the problem is
That was
about
still
being safe.
fire, though.
No,
Not
I'll
when
still
you
play.
did
I'll
it.
still
That-
play, but
that-
songs about
Not when
Jane.
you did it, but it's fire.
no, because again, it's not that there's no merit to what they're doing.
No, for sure, but-
and I wouldn't call it going safe. I will call it more about. I'm talking about in terms of Maroon 5, right? Because
Yeah.
Adam, he's still singing, going around.
He does his separate thing. Yeah.
that's his separate.
He's
thing.
still mad about his ex.
But hey, he got to take that up with them. It's not. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not up
that
to-
ain't
to
for
the
us.
listener
That
to
ain't got
decide
nothing
that
to
for
do
him.
with the band, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
But I'm talking more about the band itself, like the other
Oh,
members.
okay, I got you. Yeah.
For example, whether or not it was a collective decision, whether or not they're figuring like this is the best that we're gonna do as musicians. Again, completely personal decision. I'm not. I wouldn't put it against them. Put it that way. Or personally, not the direction that I like from them. But it doesn't mean that it's bad. That's what I'm trying to say. Like especially for example, there's a lot of people that have a lot of prejudice against pop music. Like, oh, it's phoning it in, it's safe, and yeah, it is safe. It's supposed to be safe. That's the whole point of pop. Pop, it's short for popular, and in a very crude sense.
Wait,
of
what?
Oh my God.
Pop. Short for popular. Mind blown.
This is crazy.
But anyway, the whole
This guy's good, eh?
This guy's pretty good,
Yeah,
eh?
he's good.
What a guy.
he is actually, yeah. But the whole point that I'm trying to make is that it's supposed to be safe. Now it's up to the artist to determine what he's gonna do with that whole safe area that he's working in. Because I can bet you that Maroon 5 will still put on a hell of a show if you go to one of their concerts, and they'll bring the whole roof down with their songs. And again, they have to fall back to the old ones to do a little bit of fan service. Then they'll bring it out just to satisfy.
Oh,
the fans.
no, bro. You know the songs are in the tuck.
But that doesn't mean that the new material is bad.
Yeah.
Because like I keep mentioning throughout the whole thing, it's all subjective. Like for example, I might not like it, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. The other person might love it. Doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that they like it. It's different. It's a different choice.
That's the beauty about art and music. Well, music is art, but art in general.
I get you.
Yo, I think we officially found our intro.
That's fire. Shout out Luis right now.
I
Can't call him that. That's my name for him.
I couldn't help it.
Shout out Luis.
It's like a drug.
Nah, you do that so comfortably, bro.
Yeah, man.
It's amazing. It makes sense how you used to be able to teach people how skilled you are. Because, like, I would only want to learn from someone that plays the way you play.
Yeah. How'd you get into teaching, though?
Well, I got into teaching because my teacher was lazy. He pretty much.
Okay.
Well, not lazy.
I'm going to just get one of the students to do it.
The guy that taught me, I'm about to shit on the guy that taught me.
Let's say shout out to my teacher, actually, because he...
Shout out Maroon 5.
Joel.
Shout out Maroon 5, the later years.
Shout out Adam.
I'm
Just like animals.
I'm just throwing shade at him for jokes, but he actually got me into the whole fun aspect of playing guitar, because first of all, he lent me his guitar, the main one that he uses, and I really got into guitars, because then I found out, you can actually play a nicer guitar to play than the one that I have. The one that I have was a beginner model at that time, and it wasn't set up to play easy. And again, there's some players that prefer harder to play guitars, and there's a lot of merit to that, because harder to play means that you don't try to just coast through the whole thing. Like, you gotta fight against the guitar, and some people are really into that. For me, it depends. Some days I feel like being a masochist with the guitar, so other days I just want to phone it in and cash out. But pretty much is the shout out to Pharrell Williams, by the way.
Shout out to Pharrell Williams. That's it, T. That's it.
Cash out.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
Bro. Hold on. Okay, you're not paying. Lawyer! May he protect us all. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
Your teacher, how'd you get into teaching?
He saw that I was getting better at it than most people.
Say that to him, bro.
Because you're nasty.
Because I'm nasty. So he decided, hey, I can start running the store, because it was a store with a classroom in the back. So there was nobody attending the store while he was giving classes. So he realized he could put me to teach, because again, you're only teaching beginners. You're not teaching professionals. I'm not teaching the master class. I will never teach a master class, by the way.
Never say never.
For free. But the main thing is me teaching a master class. That's funny. But,
Lawyer!
But the main thing is that he realized, okay, so he could operate the front. He could go on a merchandise run, inventory run, while I'm giving the classes. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I knew enough to just teach the basics. And all the guys there were teaching the basics. So he offered me to, hey, do you want to make a little bit of money doing classes? And I told him, hell yeah. So I started giving the classes out, and it's funny that I started doing that. It actually made me learn quicker, because I had to explain to them. I had to try to figure out a way how to explain to them what I'm trying to do on the guitar. So now it makes me be self-aware. Okay, so what am I doing on the guitar? So now I'm trying to figure out, I'm putting these chord progressions in here. I'm doing this melody. I'm doing this progression, or I'm using this scale to attack this pattern, this song pattern, or whatever it is. But the main advantage that I had is that because I was still a kid, I still knew how you get excited playing guitar.
That's fire.
So that was a huge thing that helped me with the students because I could teach them how to play the basics, but I can also teach them how to like the guitar or how to get into it. Okay, so I teach them, okay, so you do whatever. I'm going to teach the basic scale. You go
Teach
through
us, man.
this thing
Yeah.
like, oh, my bad here. All right, so you go through. That's it. You get your C scale, right?
Yeah.
And I teach them, okay, so you gotta play your C chord in there, right? But then I want to teach them, okay, so how do you use that scale inside? So they're gonna go, okay, so I'm just gonna go through the whole thing, and I go, okay, that's great and all, but think about how you're using the scale inside of it. You're not just gonna go like this, right? And you're not gonna and you're gonna just do you're just not gonna do the progression of the scale. You gotta play with it, play around with it. So we still keep playing on there, and I will keep them going around the chord, and I will tell them, okay, this time try something different. This time try a different progression.
Keep their mind stimulated.
Yeah, to try and jumpstart them into thinking a different way to use that scale. Instead of going through the progression logically, like try to skip through all the notes. Because then you start to develop something different, and then that gives you a different idea for, okay, so I could do this. I could probably move up and find the scale somewhere else, or find a different scale to use with that one. Because, for example, for C, you could use A pentatonic too.
You encourage them to get creative with what they were learning.
Try to start thinking out of the shell and try to think about why they're playing. Try to get them more interested, because you could tell right away who wanted to play the guitar and who was forced to go and take guitar classes from the first day, because they would just try to go through it, and I just want to go back to my Game Boy Advance at that time. No, sorry, it was the DS at that time. But
how dare you?
But I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But the expressions provided by Lewis in this episode are not representative of all the gaming profoundness that
just a regular podcast.
Podcast produces here. You can cut that little edit there. Yeah, he'll do it. Don't worry. But
keep it in.
but the whole point of it is that I want them to learn how to play the guitar, not just to I want them to learn how to play music, because again, if you want to learn to play guitar, and I'm gonna, all guitar teachers hate this trick, but you can go into YouTube and find all the scales, how to play them and everything. But I noticed, because even after giving the lessons, people still call me asking if I could give them a lesson. I noticed that people still want the lesson to be taught in person, because they don't just want to learn how to play the guitar. They want to learn how to play guitar. There's a small little slight difference. Right?
Sorry, that was bars.
Right? And no, I like it.
And this guy loves music, bro. You could tell the way he just paused there just to consume that sound.
And no, because I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do for the next round. But anyway, the point is that I want to teach them how to think about what they're gonna play, or how to teach them how to be actual music players. Because like I mentioned before, you could go and learn the scale, but how to use the scale, that's the really hard part of learning how to play guitar. Because I could go and play something really basic right here, and that's it, right? So I could just go through my little scale here, and do really basic preschool the sounding scale over there.
That boy said basic.
Really basic, and to me,
that boy said basic.
No, because here's the thing, right? You're hearing me play that one.
I feel like that's basic.
Right? It is basic.
Yeah.
But if you play something more, like if you go out of a scale and...
That, my friend, is not basic.
And it still sounds basic, because it's a very... I don't know if that's the correct word for it. A very canonical transition, right?
Canonical. I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what that means either. But
but it makes sense.
But it makes
It's
sense.
provocative. It gets
the
the people going.
But now I teach them, for example, okay, so you learn your pattern, right? I want you to do something different with the pattern. Move around, and even if you screw up, whatever, it's fine. So and that's a chord progression for one of the songs for Fiel La Vega, or the Puerto Rican one, right? And now it sounds a little bit more motif, like more purposeful playing.
Yeah, they're not enslaved to the practice
Or
either, like a zombie.
Exactly. Or if I want to, or if I want to play zombie, right? Right.
So we just gonna throw out some words out there, and you just gonna play them.
And for the record, you can hate me all you want. I'm tired of zombie. Because that was the song that I was forced to teach them. The first song that I was forced to teach them all how to play.
Oh yeah, so
Because it's really easy to follow.
overdid it, yeah.
Really easy to follow. All open chords on here that you can play, so they can just grab one song and that's it. Now you know what song to play when your parents are asking you, what are you learning there? But
And just play that every single time they ask you.
the more fun classes were the advanced guys, and it became a little bit awkward because I was taking classes with them, and then it was my role to give them classes. But they were actually really cool with it.
I don't acknowledge you.
No, there was actually
Mere
one
student.
There was actually one really
You're
cool
mere
guy.
student.
I hope that he's doing well.
What's his name? We'll shout him out.
I actually don't remember his name. It was a long time ago.
Hey, yo, no name. Shout you out, bro.
Shout out to you, brother man.
Shout out to you. Hope
The
you're doing
reason
well.
Hope you're
why-
doing well.
The reason why he was really cool is because not only he was completely down with me teaching the class, he started to asking a lot more questions like, oh, so how do I do this? How do I go from here to here, and how do I connect here? And I would teach him
He
how
was testing you.
and he got really good at it. Like, for example, that whole
And asking questions or playing?
both. So he started playing that one, right? So he wants to go, okay, so can I do this?
That makes us sad.
Right? I told him, of course, the chord progression doesn't have any particular order that you need to play. That the whole point is that you can do whatever the hell you want.
I want to test myself real quick on your hand.
Uh-huh.
You did F
Yes.
major, E minor,
Yes.
A minor,
Yes.
and then G major.
There you go. You have perfect pitch as well.
No. I was watching your hand.
But even though you only watch my hands only once, you still managed to tell which chords I was playing. Which, believe it or not, it's not something that I'm not gonna say that it's something that a lot of people don't know about, but it's really hard to learn the patterns. So believe it or not, I had a lot of people, especially older people, struggled a lot how to learn that. What you just said right now, it would have taken them about 6 months to learn that by memory.
I've said that before. I've said that at least to me, it was like it's the not hand position, but your hands when you're playing, they have like a gang sign. You know how like a gang sign is like a certain position? Well, your hand is doing the same thing when you're playing the guitar. There is the shape. There's a shape to what you're doing. So when you see that shape, you know kind of like what chord you're playing.
Exactly.
And that's kind of like what I just peeped what you were doing. I'm like, all right, that's that shape. And each one I just kind of noticed it.
And that's a really good way of thinking. That's what I try to teach them, because now that you learn,
Look at that. I'm already a student, bro. This
Gibson
is
gang
perfect.
no,
good.
that's what I'm saying. So you learn the gang signs, right?
Nice.
That worked.
Nice. Where is it? No. Hey.
And now you can move that gang sign all everywhere you want. So now you move it here. You can play
It's a
it
whole
here. You
different
can play it here. And if you want to complete the whole chord, now you just gotta translate it to the other fingers and use the bar finger to make the whole thing. So now you start to learn, okay, so it's the same chord, but I can use it anywhere I want. So now you're starting to learn, okay, so there's no rules. Like you can really just go ahead and
Now I'm a wild boy.
use the whole gear you want.
Look at me down here. I'm a wild boy.
Howdy, y'all.
So that's the type of thinking that I was trying to teach them, to give them the reasoning or the tools to learn by themselves, because I only teach you an hour every Saturday,
Yeah.
but it's up to you now to go
Take it home.
take it home and apply what you learn now and try to apply it to new stuff that you're trying out, because if you don't have the interest for it, you're never gonna learn guitar.
Well,
That's the only thing.
Yeah, well, to your credit or to your point, doing so, I think, enables them to be more interested in because if they better understand it, now they're not only are they learning, they're creating versus waiting to learn a set amount of things before creating their own thing. Learning to play a guitar versus playing guitar.
There's a few seminars that I did. It was more of an experiment
Yeah.
for me, but I made them play different instruments or different guitars. I made them. There's one day that I said, okay, so everyone has their own guitar. Now we're gonna switch them around. We're gonna do a circle. You're gonna get the next guy's guitar. This one's gonna get the next guy's guitar. And they find out,
wow.
there's different shapes. Like this guy's
The ones they brought. I'm
the
sorry,
other
the
one.
ones they brought to the
Yeah,
to
they
the-
bring
that's fire.
theirs. I bring mine. We sit in a
Ain't
circle.
nobody touching my guitar.
We make sure that we
drop my
learn
shit.
whose guitar is his. So we make sure that nobody brings the wrong guitar back home. So we start flipping it around, because I noticed everyone had a different guitar. Somebody had a bigger one. Somebody had a smaller scale one. So, some of them had higher strings. Some of them had lower strings. And some of them you start to notice that it starts to click, like, oh, like these strings are a lot higher. So you
Somebody
gotta put more
probably
effort
brought a
into it.
violin. Rookies.
This guy.
And you never bring a violin to a
He
guitar.
said
fight.
it. He said it.
Exactly. But especially those $300,000 violins, that's a bigger flex.
They're expensive, right? Violins
Not
in
all
general.
of them. Not all of them. It's the same as guitars. Like the value is not really by the quality; it's more by the context behind that instrument. For example, the guitar makers don't want you to learn this. Guitar makers hate this.
Oh man, that's the cue for the short. I got you.
Lawyer.
Yeah. Yo, it's like you're the one that they recorded for that.
yeah,
Oh
kinda.
damn! All right.
That's wild. But no, the whole point is, for example, the guitar quality doesn't really increase at the same rate as the price increases. What I mean by that is that it's a lot more exponential. So they start to charge a lot more money for a particular guitar model, but the quality is the same. You'll still get a really high quality. Like, for example, this one that I have here,
Like the jump is crazy.
it's the jump in price. that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
said.
the jump in price
But-
just because of the brand.
Quality is the same.
Like, say for example, when you get to up to the $2,000 range, $1,500 range, that's it. But now you gotta pay double that
For
to
brand.
get a higher quality build. It's not gonna be a better sounding one. It might sound a little bit better, just a little bit better, but not worth double the price.
Not at the ratio of the difference in price.
Now, you have the whole argument that a more expensive instrument might make you feel different, and therefore you play different, so you might play better.
So
I
so
play expensive now.
They-
so whether placebo or not, if it does the thing, then it does
now
the
the
thing.
value, it ends up, instead of being a material value, now it ends up being emotional / subjective value. It's value in whoever's own possessing that guitar.
There is something to that, though.
No, there
that
is.
placebo effect kind of triggers your dedication to something.
Let's say, for example, there's the first guitar that I bought. I still used to keep it around a lot. Not when I moved out here to the U.S. back in Puerto Rico. The first electric guitar that I got, I still kept it around because I actually wrote the better songs on it.
Oh,
The reason why is the thinner, weirder sounding tones that I got out of it. Whether it's because of it being cheap, whether it's being cheap pickups, for example, something triggered in me that it made me either compensate more for the guitar, or it made me either think different how to approach it. Like, okay, so I can't do this on the guitar, so I got to find a way around it. and maybe that changes the gears and my and how I think and I write differently
Right.
than how I would write it in a more expensive guitar, pretty much.
It pushed you to that.
Now, the expensive guitar, I can also write different stuff. Once I get the basics on the cheap one, I could write better stuff to accompany it on the fancier one. Why that happens, I have no idea. Maybe it's because I think it's fancier. Maybe because it plays better. I don't know what it is, or it sounds better. I have no idea. It's completely subjective. Some people will argue, no, the $4,000 that I spent does make it a better instrument because
this is rhino skin, and it's like, whoa, bro, relax.
And it's okay if you want to explain to your wife why you spent $5,000 on a guitar. You can explain it that way. It's
It sounds
justified.
better, bro.
To get away from you.
You know that's what they telling their wife.
It's completely justified. It's completely justified. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's your guitar, bro. You can do whatever you want with it.
But what I mean by that is, if it makes them feel different when they're playing, if they appreciate using that guitar, owning that guitar, then the price, I would say, is subjectively speaking justified.
Placebo. Yeah. If placebo or not, it's doing the thing.
Same thing with the violins.
Yeah.
They already did a blindfold test.
Mm-hmm.
The top violin will cost you around $25,000.
Holy.
How much?
25.
How many houses?
25.
25 houses.
Yeah, 25 Monopoly houses. The most expensive violins are the Stradivarius violins. They're from wood out of the 18th century, I believe, in the 1700s. They can catch up to an auction price of roughly like $325K.
Dude, that's fucking.
Now, the violin players that own them don't own them. They're lent to them by the owner of the violin, the guy that actually can afford it. Very few.
The
violin
bored
players,
millionaire, yeah.
Very few violin players will be able to afford an expensive violin. It's really hard. Mad respect to those guys that.
Yeah, you have a complicated relationship with these people, man.
But so they lend them to them because they think you're such a good player. I want you to play something that's fitting of you. Now, does that player sound better because of the violin, or does he sound better because of the fact that he thinks it's a better violin? Nobody knows, because on the blindfold test, nobody could really tell the difference between the $25,000 one and the $325,000. They couldn't tell the $300,000.
You've been bamboozled.
Now, when they play the more expensive one, they tend to play to sound better.
Oh.
So, not the violin sounds better, their playing sounds better.
So their skill
blindfolded, they were still that was still the results.
So you could, some people might argue it's their skill gets shown off better, but some people might think differently when they're playing the more expensive one. Like they're thinking, I'm playing a really good one. I'm gonna really ring it out.
Yeah.
Give it my all.
So it's not so much giving it your all, but it changes the way that you approach it. Like you try to be, okay, so I gotta be a little bit more careful with how I play the notes. Like I gotta be more precise with how I
precision increases.
Yeah. My music gotta be pricier, bruh.
But again, it's completely subjective. Like you could have a really good musician will sound good on a cheap one compared to an average mediocre player playing an expensive one. That would always be true. There's a ton of stories around of a bunch of famous guitar players that they show up for a cameo appearance, like they just want to play, and they'll just grab the amp that they're using, your average Joe playing there. They'll just hook into the amp, borrow a guitar, and they'll sound exactly like them. Even though the equipment that they use is typically $10,000, they'll still sound just like them on a $1,000 budget one. So it's a lot of nuance. It's a lot of subjectivity to how a musician performs and how a musician sounds, basically.
So, Luisa, I keep saying that, and that's not for the audience.
His name is Luis.
It's Luis, yeah. His family nickname.
Jesus
Everybody's
Christ.
oh my God, I know him. His name is Luis. No.
No, Luis. No clue. Wait, is that your
the
name?
Dominican? Nah.
Oh.
the
Damn,
bachata came out. The bachata emulator.
that's fucked. That's my name.
Yeah. So we about to hit you. That's funny. With the deepest cut.
I'm out.
We about to hit you with some rapid fire questions. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Michigan.
And that's fine.
Why Michigan?
Why Michigan?
That's the first state that I could think of.
Beautiful.
Oh God.
Beautiful. Dream collab or client?
Josh Homme.
Who is that?
That's the singer for the favorite band that I said.
Lil Wayne. I mean Wayne.
Actually, dream collab.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Jimmy Page,
Fire.
and I'm gonna have Elton John assistant since we're going for dream collab here.
Yeah. It could be
And
whoever.
It's my uncle.
no, let me go with, you know what? I'll go with Tego Calderon. That's the
Fire.
Teo guy, the hype guy.
Tengo carne, la bayarle. All right. Favorite movie? Recognize, bro. That was nice, bro.
Yeah.
Favorite movie is The Nice Guys.
Fire.
Never
Fire.
seen that. What's that about? Two guys being nice.
It's Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe play the detectives like Starsky and Hutch style, and it goes horribly comically wrong.
Oh wait, sorry. I have seen that. Yeah. I have seen that. Funny movie.
That's funny. That's funny. Favorite series?
The Sopranos.
Really?
Fire.
Did not take you for a Soprano.
I just finished it last year, and it's the only series that whenever I finish an episode, I either feel very satisfied or very introspective, like very reflective.
I think it does
that's
a
awesome.
well mix of both. Yeah, those therapy sessions got
And
to me, man.
and if it didn't do that, it left me laughing in tears because it's still to this day the funniest series I've seen, even though it's not a comedy one.
But that's what's so beautiful about it, though.
It's
The way
too
they
funny.
go about
and
it.
whoever doesn't think it's funny,
Yeah.
I don't care. You don't. I don't care.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no. There's a comedic element to it. Like it's so brutal, but it's anyway. Rapid fire questions, and I'm holding up the train.
Thank you.
Favorite.
Oh man.
Favorite quote.
Favorite quote. Wow, I do not really have a favorite quote.
It could be something you've said in the past, if you want.
No, my favorite quote is I'm Rick James, bitch.
Fire,
What?
yes,
That's the best one I can think of.
yes. Favorite book.
Origin by Dan Brown.
Origin.
Origin by Dan Brown.
Or I will go with 11. It's a date, but it's by
What is Origin about?
Origin. It's basically, you know, the Da Vinci Code
Yeah.
set in Spain.
Oh yeah.
Goes to
okay.
Spain. The Electric Boogaloo 2, basically.
Very a lot of
Like
uncovering.
Sagrada Familia spots, Bilbao name drop, and it's like Da Vinci Code. Like they're looking for this old guy dying, dusty thing that's gonna destroy the world, and it was fun to read.
Sounds like Assassin's Creed, bro.
Yes, it is. Or honorable mention. I forgot the date, but it's a date that it's in November '63. But it's basically about JFK from Stephen King.
Fire. Fire. All right. I don't know if you actually want people to find you, but if you want people to find you, tell the camera where to reach you.
You can find me in my office, working, being a very productive member of society,
A law-abiding citizen.
just getting by, making a decent living, and trying to enjoy life.
Yeah, as you should. This has been beautiful. I love this. Can't wait for the part 2. Can't wait till Rem is here with us, because I know he'll enjoy this treat as well. Do you have anything else for the people?
Yeah, if I have anything to add to whoever's watching this, love music.
Beautiful.
That's corny. That's really cheesy.
Nah, if you feel that.
I like
no,
that though. That was a
no.
good message.
Try to appreciate things more for what they are, and try to open your mind more. The more you open your mind, the more fun you'll have.
That's
Ooh,
fire.
that's your quote, bro.
That's fine. Yeah, that is your quote. But I'm not gonna hit that yet
That's
because
straight out of Instagram. Thank you.
you about.
I got that on the gram.
Dang. Lawyer. Does my brother and if the brothers.
Hey, yo, I ain't got nothing for y'all, man. It's been another great episode, man.
As always, it's been another great episode. I loved having you here. Long overdue. I hope you're back. We hope you're back.
I hope you're back.
Yeah, for sure. We need these classes, bro.
Okay.
I feel enlightened. If that's all we got, peace and love. We out.